guys, so it is 8 p.m. the Saturday before Mother's Day, and in my last video I ended it by saying I was going to enjoy my first Mother's Day, and I just got a call from the market manager at the market I attended last year, and she's in a pinch because the flower vendor, it's actually like a landscaping vendor, they were supposed to sell bouquets and he completely sold out of bouquets today. So he's not going to the market with any bouquets tomorrow. And it's not a great thing to have a market on Mother's Day without any bouquets. So she's in a pinch and I am out here harvesting a little bit more, as well as now putting together bouquets. So I will be at the market tomorrow, hopefully not for very long, to sell bouquets. She's being very flexible with me in the sense that, you know, I'm breastfeeding a newborn. I haven't even started pumping, so I don't even know how to use the machine and all that stuff. So hopefully I can just be there for a couple of hours and run back. Still debating on whether I even bring the baby with me, but the point is I have to make bouquets, and luckily I harvested a couple of buckets of the Sweet William. I have some tulips, so I'm going to try to throw together some arrangements and see what we get. So it's the morning of the market. It's about 6:30 in the morning. I'm coming out to get some more stuff. So last night I made some bouquets. I made 5 jar arrangements, 4 bouquets, and I like to do a little bit more because that's really worth about $160. And I like to just, you know, for the time that I'm going to spend at that market today, I like to get at least $200 worth. So I'm going to go out and get some more stuff. And I might need to also forage some catmint from my landscaping, just because I don't have any greenery. So I wish I was able to record last night me making the bouquets. It didn't happen. As I was about to hit the record, I heard Eric yell, "Oh my God," and basically the baby had spit up, so I had to go up, and then in all that commotion I forgot to hit record. So I'll show you what the flowers look like after, but right now I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna forage and see what I can get and cut some more also from here, because I still have a lot more Sweet William. All right, so I just finished harvesting, got a bucket. You know you're desperate when you start going into your new mint and you're taking cuttings from it, but I needed to pinch the mint anyway. This is mountain mint, my favorite kind of mint, and luckily our landscaping has some catmint, so there's also some greenery there, but obviously an abundance of Sweet William. As you can see, I have some more Sweet William that I harvested from yesterday. Obviously all a deeper type of red. We'll see if we can make it work. And let me just show you some of the bouquets that I had made yesterday. So these are, you know, like regular bunches of bouquets. I'm going to be selling these for $15. So they're heavy on the Sweet William, but I had some tulips left over. These are the Super Parrot tulips, and they held well in the fridge. I had them with the bulb on, and there's a couple of snaps in here. So that's one. I joke that I was able to make highlighter yellow work here. So yeah, it's very colorful. This one is basically all Sweet William plus some snaps. So $15 I think is really reasonable for this. You know, this one you get 2 tulips with Sweet William. I'm seeing Sweet William go wholesale for bunches of 10 for like $10 basically at my local co-op. So, you know, these are decent value from that standpoint. And the good thing about Sweet William is that they do have a very long vase life. So then here's the last one. Actually, the verbescum on this one is starting to go a bit. And I wonder if it's because it didn't get enough water, hydration. So anyway, I'm gonna put a few more bouquets together and we'll see what I come up with. So that took 15 minutes. I made 2 jar arrangements and 2 regular bouquet wraps. So each jar is $20. Each bouquet wrap is $15. So if I sell both of them, that's $40 plus 30, which is 70. So let me show you what they look like. And let me just say, I am not pretending to be a, you know, like a designer with that type of floristry skill. I still have a lot to learn in terms of designing, but I think for just putting something together very quickly, it works. And I think that they're worth what people would be paying for $20. You know, you're going to be paying more if you're getting that design element. So let me show you what they look like. So I had a friend who gave me these jars, and I thought these jars would be great for, you know, short arrangements like this. So this is a bit of catmint over here to give it some texture, and then this has some verbescum. So I just harvested this verbescum, and I do need to put some hot water in there, but you know, it does, or you know, put these into hot water for a bit to hydrate. But look at these, they do look really, really beautiful. And so yeah, I would be pretty happy getting this and putting it on my you know, dining room table or whatever. And let me show you what the bouquets look like. So this is the bouquets. I had some snaps, and then this one is actually a foxglove that is starting to open with some more catmint, and I'm actually going to put some of these mint sprigs into a couple of those bouquets over there, and then I'll be ready to load up the truck. So it is 9:40 and I am all set up. Literally took like 10 minutes because I don't have a ton of stuff. Let me show you what the setup looks like. They were super nice. They actually pitched the tent for me. So all I had to do is just bring a table, my stuff, myself, and yeah, let's get the show going. So obviously I wish I had a bit more, but I'm pretty happy given, you know, the circumstance. So here's the signage. Obviously, you know, just like 2 things on the menu, but here's all of the jar arrangements. There's one ranunculus that made it in. I really like how the verbescum is looking in here and giving the vases a lot of height. So yeah, and then you can see some tulips over here, a lot of Sweet William obviously, and here were the bouquets that I made earlier today, but here were some of the ones that I made yesterday. So yeah, this is how it looks. So it is 10:17 and sold out. That was the fastest sellout ever. I wish I had more flowers, and now I'm just waiting for people to pick up their flowers, and then I'm gonna head back. All right, so I am back from the market. I've been back for a few hours, and it is a double coffee kind of day. But let's talk numbers. I'm sure you guys have all been waiting to hear how much I sold. I sold $230 worth of flowers. Now, really that number could have easily had a 0 behind that, meaning $2,300 for this Super Bowl day of flowers, which is Mother's Day. I mean, selling out in 17 minutes has never happened to me. I really feel like if I had over $1,000 worth of flowers, I would have easily blown through those flowers. But that all being said, with all of my market videos, I usually break down the costs, and I do want to talk about selling the flowers that I did today and the profitability behind that, and kind of this aha that I had with that experience. So of that $230, I would say roughly I netted $113. So here's the breakdown over here, but I want to focus on 2 key pieces. I want to focus on the labor piece, and I want to focus on the COGS, or the cost of goods sold. So let's talk about labor. Labor is a little bit more straightforward here. I did not have a ton of labor. I would break down my labor total into 4 hours. That's 2 hours of harvesting and putting together bouquets. You saw how quickly I put together the bouquets, and that was very intentional. I was not trying to fuss around and, you know, design like extraordinary floral arrangements, right? I was pricing these bouquets at $15 and $20, and I was spending the time that I felt that would be adequate to meet that $15 and $20 requirement, in addition to the cost of stems. Now, I think I could have probably raised everything by $5 and they still would have sold on Mother's Day, but I'm going to talk a little bit more about that after. So then my time spent at the market was really only 2 hours because I sold out so quickly. And so because I was doing a bit of a favor for the market manager, in this situation, the market manager had basically through Facebook and other ads posted that they would have flowers for Mother's Day. So when the other vendor, who really sells landscaping stuff, ran out of flowers, they wanted to make good on what they posted on social media, which is how I came in. So I didn't have to pay for a table fee. They even put up a tent for me, right? So, and then the nicest thing that they did was they put me at the very beginning of the market, and they told me, once you sell out, you can go home. You have a newborn. I'm still breastfeeding. So they were very understanding about that. And I was able to basically get back, and the baby didn't realize that I left, which is great. So all that to say, 2 hours spent going to the market, setting up, being there, leaving, driving back, which is great. So that's $60, right? And that's about $15 per hour of my time. Now let's talk about this piece around cost of goods sold. So couple of things here. One, I technically sold low value flowers in the sense that Sweet William is not a high value type of stem. It's not a ranunculus, it's not a peony, it's not a tulip, right? It's really a filler at the end of the day. But the thing is, only you and I know that it's a filler. Customers typically don't recognize it as a filler. And so I was talking to my friend Jess, my grower friend. She's the one who started all these from seed from me. And I was the one who, or she was the one who introduced me to Sweet William last year when I bought filler from her, and I realized how well Sweet William bulked up bouquets. Now, that being said, I am not necessarily a fan of Sweet William and how it looks. And this is the first lesson. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean other people won't like it. I had a lot of people who came up and said, "Ooh, I love these flowers. I love these colors. What is this?" And the greatest thing about Sweet William is that it has a really, really great vase life. If you harvest when just a certain percentage of blooms are open, like 20-30%, the rest of the blooms will continue to open in the vase. And even if they are open, you will still get a decent vase life. So it is great from that perspective. The other thing is that it comes in a multitude of color. So you can make a very pretty bouquet just with Sweet William. And so when I was talking to Jess, she showed me a photo of the Sweet William bouquets that she made last year, putting some just very easy filler and, you know, sold these bouquets and they look awesome. So that was the first learning for me, which is that, you know, don't discount these short or these low value type of flowers because your customers are not going to realize that. The second thing is this really hammered home to me the importance of either having a programmable crop or having perennials. So I had not intended on hitting Mother's Day this year. Obviously, I knew I was going to have a newborn, and I just, you know, I was anticipating on having a low-key season as a whole. So it's just kind of funny because I told Jess, hey, you know, I'm not going to grow that much this year. I'm not going to sell that much. And the next thing you know, I'm selling at a co-op. And then I also said her I'm not going to focus on the summer. And then because of the co-op, I ended up taking the lily workshop to force lilies, right? So now I'm planting 200 lilies every few weeks. And then I told Jess, I'm not selling anything for Mother's Day. And here I am, I'm selling stuff for Mother's Day, right? So all of this to say that I really, really wish that I had more shrubs or greenery or just different kind of filler, right? So the ability for you to forage or, you know, go around and get that kind of filler would have really bulked up these bouquets and I think pushed them easily to that $20 price point without that vase, and probably that $20 price point vase to $25. The reason why I didn't price it higher, even though I could have during holiday, is because of my perception that Sweet William is a relatively low value type of flower. And again, you know, when I think about it, the customer is not going to know that. So when I say low value, you know, the Boston Terminal Ornamental sell sheet doesn't have dianthus right now on there, or at least the Sweet William type of dianthus. It has just the carnations. But my local co-op sells all of the Sweet William stems for $1 each. So they're bunched in 10, so it's $10 for a bunch of 10. And the white ones fetch a little bit more at 10 cents per stem more. And that's because these are floral designers working for weddings and all that stuff, right? So when you think about just in the grand scheme of fillers, even that is not very pricey for filler. So that was kind of stuck in my head when I was pricing these. And then, you know, now that I've been able to put together bouquets and the verbescum really saved my butt. So I know in the last video I talked about just, you know, how do I use the verbescum? I kind of figured it out. What I do is I take off the open blooms on the lower parts of the stem, even if they look perfectly fine. And that means that when I put together the bouquets, the petals are not going to be rubbing against other blooms in that bouquet. So it's not going to be as fragile. And then the rest will also open up over time. So it will give it that vase life. But that verbescum gave my bouquets interest in the in terms of a spike. It gave it more color. And then of course I had a few snaps that were blooming. So that also gave it the same kind of interest and, spike that the verbescum did. And then I foraged some catnip, which also helped that cause, right? So all in all, these were not high value bouquets, but I was able to sell them. And because they were not high value, my cost of acquiring these were also relatively low. So I had paid my friend Jess to start these from seeds for me for the Sweet William. I got 2 trays of 72 each for 2 different varieties. And each tray cost me roughly, I think it was like $25 each. So for $50, I have a ton of Sweet William filler out there, and I'm gonna let it overwinter for another season. So that's how I priced my cost of goods sold at $15, because I feel like, at best, maybe I harvested a quarter of what's to come. There's still a lot out there that I'm going to be able to get for the rest of the season. So all this to say, I didn't grow ranunculus, or I am growing ranunculus, but I didn't sell ranunculus, right? Ranunculus is a relatively higher value type of crop. If you were to sell it to a florist, you're talking about anywhere from $1.50 to $2.50 a stem, depending on the type of variety that you're talking about. But to the retail customer, sometimes they don't understand that there is that premium that you pay as a grower to acquire the corms, and how much value it has as a flower. So my lesson today was, to the extent that you can grow low value flowers and be able to sell them, they actually make for a very, very profitable crop. And I have a whole new appreciation for Sweet William. We're at a time of year where the tulips are done and the spring stuff is just coming in. Sweet William has been known to fill that gap. There's that, like 2-3 week transition period, right? And Sweet William is usually the first to come in. It is a workhorse. It fills up a bouquet. So it is definitely something worth considering growing if you can. And it perennializes in a lot of zones, or it's hardy enough for you to overwinter in a lot of zones. So it's very cold hardy. Anyway, so this was my Mother's Day experience where, I had originally had these buckets that I harvested of Sweet William really sitting for my CSA bouquets for this upcoming Friday. I didn't necessarily need these stems, but I just wanted them ready just in case if something happened outside with some other filler. But I have a lot of foxglove coming, I have a lot of snapdragons coming, and I still have more Sweet William. So in some ways, I am glad I had the opportunity to sell, because that's an extra $230 of cash flow that is coming into my bank account. And with me planting lilies every few weeks, I am paying, for the cost of those bulbs every few weeks. And so I'm paying about $180 for 200 bulbs delivered to me. That is actually kind of pricey, and it's pricey because of shipping and the low volume that I'm buying. I'm buying 200 at a time, which is considered low volume. But speaking of lilies, if I had taken the lily workshop earlier and had started my lilies indoors earlier, I would have had lilies for Mother's Day, and that would have been awesome. So that is the goal for next year. A lot of people ask, why are you planting lilies in crates, and why did you take the lily workshop? I'm going to be the first to say lilies are not rocket science to grow. They're a lot less complicated than tulips, especially when it comes to forcing. I think a lot of people grow lilies without an issue. The reason why you would want to potentially take the tulip workshop is you're someone like me who has never grown lilies, or 2, you want to dial in that program. And when I say program, I mean that timing. So when you perennialize a lily, that lily's coming up the same time every single year. But what if you wanted a focal flower every 2 weeks, every week, every month, right? So that course teaches you how to time things and program it in such a way so that you can have successions of blooms. And so the goal for next year will be tulips for the winter season going into Valentine's Day. And then I'm going to actually start lilies probably in February to get me to April, Easter timeframe, and then beyond to Mother's Day. So I'm really excited for what's to come with lilies. Learnings from this were got away with low value flowers that looked great in bouquets. And for next year, I am going to have focal flowers so that I can have volume and be able to charge more of a premium with those bouquets. So happy Mother's Day to every mother out there. I hope you guys are enjoying your Sunday, and I